Unfortunately, when the pandemic hit, I didn't have a work from home office. I needed to figure out something quick. So I built this. This is my work from home office shed, a 9 by 14 foot office that took way too long to build, but is oh so awesome and oh so worth it. Let me tell you a little bit about the backstory. When the pandemic hit and my office closed down, I needed somewhere to work. Unfortunately, working from home wasn't the best option because my wife and my kid were there, and it's just really distracting, and I needed my own place where I could get some work done, right? So we had an old water feature over here in the corner of the backyard, and to be honest, we never used it. It was a beautiful water feature. It worked great, but we just never turned it on. It was just sitting there basically dead, right? So we already had power run to this area, and I thought, hey, instead of just letting that water feature sit there, why don't I build a work from home office shed just like this? Like I said, it's 9 feet by 14 feet. Inside, you've got 8-foot ceilings that pitch up to about 9.5 feet, and you can see the overhang on the roof right here as well. This is a project that took way longer than I thought it would, but I'm glad I did it. I'm gonna break it down for you. I'm gonna show you around the place. I'm gonna show you each component of it, how long it took, what we put in there, what we spent on it, and the total cost for what it cost to build this place here behind me. Let's go take a look inside. All right, guys, now as we step inside, you're gonna notice first off, yes, I'm not the cleanest person. I didn't get this all dressed up for you for the YouTube video. I was just too excited to show you what this place is all about. So I'm gonna show you around. I've got some of my office stuff in here. I'm still getting the rest of it dressed up. You might have seen some videos with this in the background already, but it is still a work in progress. There's still a lot to go in here, and we're gonna get an awesome setup. So for now, we painted the walls white. We've just stuck with 3 can lights along the top. I've got some sound panels on the wall there, a couple lights, my desk, and over here where I'm standing in this corner, we're gonna be doing a little bit of a podcast type studio setup with a nice background for the videos where I'm sitting right here at my desk. So of course, right now it's pretty barren. I've got the putting green. Everybody needs that. We've got the heater up in the corner, as well as the AC. And over on this side, you've got the sliding door with a transom window. So let's talk a little bit about this place and the building process of what we went through to get to this point. Okay guys, so as we step outside, the first thing I want to show you is right down here, we've got the slab that we poured where the old water feature was. This is an exact slab that matches the dimensions of the building that we put on top of it. So you can see here, let me see if I can get some better lighting for you. So this slab here, it's called a thickened slab. So it actually has, it's actually about 6 to 8 inches deep on the edge all the way around the pad. And then in the middle, it's about 4 to 6 inches deep. Now you do that because when you build it up like this, you want to have a stronger base around the outside so that 1, the slab doesn't move, and number 2, the slab doesn't settle. It's going to give you a thickened slab, which is going to make it stronger and going to hold the integrity of the concrete for a longer period of time. So that's what we started with. We started with the slab. We had to add a little section here. Now this concrete pad right here that you see on top, we did actually pour this after the fact. After the building was complete, then we came in and poured this slab last so that it wouldn't get damaged with materials, people going in and out or anything like that. We just wanted to keep it nice and easy, so we didn't pour this until later on. Now for the excavation of this area, getting rid of the water feature, leveling it out, paying for labor and materials, we spent $1,600 to pour this concrete slab. Now let's talk about the actual framing of the structure. Now the framing was a total disaster. When I first built this, I trusted a general contractor who was out there who said, yeah, we know how to frame stuff. We know exactly what we're doing. Well, turns out that guy had absolutely no idea what he was doing and caused a major disaster with the original framing. So I had to talk to a couple contacts and find an actual person who knew how to frame. So we got a framer out here. They tore down the old piece and we started on this new project here. The framing, we spent about $450 for the wood. Luckily, this is before wood got super expensive, but the labor was very expensive because we were paying very skilled workers for the work that they did here on the shed. So for framing labor, we spent about $2,500, just over $2,500 for that. Now, the cool thing about that too is that once we did this framing, we actually put on this material here on the side that is called LP Smart Side material. Now this material just goes right over the framing, so you don't have to put plywood on first. This has a plywood backing, and then this front here is more of a, I think it's like a vinyl composite or something that is actually waterproof and will hold up to the elements very well. So this went on top of the actual framing, so we didn't have to do any plywood or any siding on the top. We only needed plywood for the roof, and that was about it. Now for the material cost for this LP SmartSide siding, we spent about $1,550 for this siding, and then the framers were the ones who actually put it on, because it's actually technically kind of a framing job. They're the ones who do the siding here for something like this. If you were doing actual siding on the house, you're doing plywood, and then you were doing like aluminum or vinyl or hardy board or something, you know, maybe stucco, you would actually probably have somebody else who does the siding for your shed. But in this case, we had the framers do it all in one piece. Next up, let's talk about this heater. So this is actually a heater and AC unit all in one. Now the cool thing about this, my electrician is also an HVAC certified technician. So he came in, he did this, he set up the electrical here, and he ran the actual lines that go into the unit. So this is what the outside of the unit looks like. This is a really good option for smaller units like this. You can use it in a garage, you could use it in your house, but most of these units are rated to about 400 to 500 square feet, I believe. This one is a smaller unit. Obviously my unit is only about 130 square feet, and so this is way overkill for the space. It does great. It's got a heater, it's got AC, it's got everything I need. But let's head inside and I'll actually show you what it looks like from in here. So this is the unit up here on the wall. Very simple, easy to use, very clean look. Here in Utah, where I'm living, I needed to have a heater because it gets pretty cold in the winter. I'm out here, it's about 20 to 25 degrees on the winter mornings, and then summer it's gonna get up to about 100. So I definitely need AC in this place to keep it nice and comfortable to get work done. Now moving along, you can see that we've got tons of plugs here within the building itself. So we've got plugs here, we've got plugs there, and I've got these other massive plugs here where my desk is at. So I told the electrician, hey, I need a ton of electrical power out here. Luckily there was already a 240 line that was run for a previous hot tub. We got a couple lights put in, and we've got these plugs. So these plugs are on a different circuit than the ones on that side of the little shed here. So tons of electrical power here. We spent $1,090 for the electrical on this place. Next up, we're going to talk about sheetrock. Sheetrock was very simple to do. Obviously this is just a square, there's not many crazy cuts. Of course you do have the ceiling up here, which is at a slant or at a pitch. So that was a little bit difficult, but I did pay somebody for the sheetrock. I was thinking, hey, there's no way I'm gonna do this myself. For labor and materials for the sheetrock, I spent $975. Okay, now I have to come up on my deck in order to show you the roof. We just did a traditional shingled roof here on the shed, and what you can see here, we've got a very basic pattern here, nothing fancy, nothing crazy. Right there, we spent $700 for labor and materials. Actually, not a bad cost given the work that went into it. All right, now running back inside, the next thing we've got to talk about is the insulation. I definitely needed insulation in this place. I was thinking about going with blown-in insulation, but it is incredibly expensive. I was really surprised with how expensive it was. I thought about doing insulation myself because it's pretty easy. You just buy the bats at Home Depot or Lowe's and you just throw them in and away you go. But then I thought, you know what, this isn't worth my time. I just need to pay somebody to do this. So we ended up paying $437 for just regular bat insulation here in the walls and in the ceiling. Now, when it came to actually building this place, I needed to get out of the current office I was in. Number one, because it shut down, and number two, because I did not want to go back to it. It was a small office in a basement with no windows. This was a total disaster for me and I was going crazy. So when I built this place, I said, look, I need tons of natural light. So we've got this sliding door. It's just a standard 6-foot sliding door here. We've got the transom window up above. I was going to do 3 windows against the top here, but then that was going to be, they were going to be too high. And with the overhang of the roof, you can't quite see it out there, but with the overhang of the roof, you wouldn't have gotten as much light. And this was a much easier framing option to get that window in there. So that saved me some cost right there as well. Then we've got this 4x4 window over on this side. Again, very easy window to put in. Standard height, standard size. For windows and for this door, we spent a total of $1,350 on these items. Next up, let's take a look at the carpet. This carpet, nothing special. I needed something that was going to be able to stand up to some traffic and some wear. It ended up costing me $551.93 for the carpet, the pad, and the labor. All right, guys, stick with me. We're almost to the end of what it took to build this place here. Now, this paint, I wanted to get the outside painted because I wanted to do it the same color as what my house is. If we actually step over here, you can see that my house is almost the same dark gray charcoal type color. So I wanted to do the shed in the same exact color. We did that over here. It cost us $500 to paint this. They did everything. They did the walls, the eaves, everything that needed to be done for the shed here. Now, this concrete pad, I know we talked about that before. This cost me just $200 to put that pad in. Of course, they had to come in, they had to level it, and then pay for the materials and the labor for somebody to do that to make sure it was nice and flat and wasn't going to settle on me. So for 200 bucks, not a bad cost there. Okay guys, last but not least, the paint and the trim here on the inside, I ended up having to do it myself. Unfortunately, I wasn't gonna pay somebody to come in and paint this because they were gonna charge me an arm and a leg to come and do this small of a space. And same thing with the trim. The trim, they just said, hey, this is too small of a job. I will do it, but I'm gonna have to charge you a premium just to come out there for the trip, to set up all the tools, and to come in there and put it in. So I ended up doing it myself because one, I was under a time crunch. I needed to get in this place, and that was the last step that I had to put in. So I ended up painting the place. I ended up doing the trim. Yeah, it took me a couple hours. It probably took me a full day to do the trim, to get all the cuts right and to get it nailed on. I'm not a trim guy, so it took me some extra time to figure that out. And same thing with the paint. You know, the paint probably took 2 to 3 hours for each coat to do the walls and the ceiling here. That cost me about $100 worth of paint. But let me know what type of studio I should put here in the corner. Should I do a couch against the wall? Should I do 2 chairs? Should I do a desk? What should I put right here in the corner? I need your ideas. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what I should put on the wall. If I should do a faux brick wall, if I should do wallpaper, if I should paint it a crazy color, maybe paint it black. Let me know what your thoughts are. I'd love your ideas on what I should do for this space here. So all in all, guys, to build something like this, really not a bad cost. I don't know the cost off the top of my head, the total amount, but I've got the counter going down here in one of the corners that will show you the total cost. I think it's about $12,000 or $13,000 to build this entire place. Now that is obviously a good chunk of change. I'm not gonna deny that, but I was already paying about 300 bucks a month for my office, and that was with no windows, no doors, in a basement. I was down there alone and there was no light at all. If I wanted to get an equivalent size space to this out in a normal office building, I was going to be spending somewhere between $500 and $600 per month. So after 2 years, this place is going to pay for itself. Plus it comes with the added convenience of being right in my backyard. I don't have to travel to work. I don't have to come home. So that saves me about 30 minutes every single day. Plus when I need to, I can just run inside, use the restroom or make some lunch, grab a drink, anything like that. And it saves me a ton of time. So having this here in my backyard is super convenient. To be honest, people could even use this for like a yoga studio. It could be a man cave. It could be a home gym. There's a lot of options for something you could do with this. And if you were going to do something like that, you could do it for even cheaper. So this is something that I would highly consider. If you're looking at working from home, you're looking at building your own office shed, this is something I would definitely recommend you do because this is a really cool space. I mean, look at what we have here. This is just an awesome place to work from. I've got the lights, I've got the sound panels. I also have these blankets that I hang up on the windows here. So this is great for like a YouTube studio. What I'm doing here, it might be a little bit echoey, but I have these sound blankets that I hang up over the door to get rid of the light and to manage the sound. And then same thing over this window as well. I've got one that I hang there, and that helps manage the sound and the light. So then I've got my other lights here where I can get a more consistent light, and I also get rid of some of that echo that you're probably hearing on the video right here. So with all that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Let me know what you think about this work from home office shed. Let me know if you built one yourself or if you're thinking about it, and I'll catch you in the next one. So as I was editing this, I actually ended up finding the original drawing that I had for the shed. When I first came up with the idea, I drew it out on paper and I ended up finding that paper, so I wanted to share it with you guys. That is the original drawing of what I came up with.